Hey everyone, sorry it's been so long since we did a video. We've been listening and we'll do a bunch of videos, maybe, I don't know. In this case, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which is the first of the 14 Oz books. And hopefully you can hear us. We'll have new phones soon! Taking the week off next week, and getting new phones is one of the really fun priorities, because neither of us have any patience to just sit there and do that, unless it's pretty much dead in the store. Otherwise, it's just like, dear God, my life is ending. Almost as bad as going to the DMV, but I won't get into that, because last time I went to the DMV, I nearly lost my stuff on them, because they're like, but you have to make an appointment. If you didn't make an appointment yesterday, we wouldn't have seen you. Yeah, but can you take walk-ins today? Well, yeah, but you should make an appointment. Anyway. The Michigan DMV sucks.
Also, we don't typically jump and try to be first in line to be the first to get the new latest and greatest product, so neither one of us are going to get the latest and greatest products, because I don't think either one of us really think that it's necessary.
Yeah.
I just want somebody who'll take some videos, run my cloud-operated GPS speedometer for my motorcycle, and, play a few games, take phone calls.
Maybe answer phone calls and clear your voicemail so we can leave you messages. I don't know if that ever happened. Anyway. Yeah, mine's the 10-year-old one, and it don't bother me none. Well, 9 years. Starting year 10. Anyway.
Mine was the bottom of the line 10 years ago, so it's kind of outdated. Anyways.
I just hope that Juice. Oh, it's loading up. Okay, so some backstory on The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Yeah, it's like one of my favorite series, not just because my dad collected the books for me and we spent a long time talking about them, but I haven't read it in at least a decade, probably closer to 12 years. I can almost recite it, but there were parts I forgot, which of course now I'm going to forget to mention, other than the one weird deep lore about, yeah, how the boys got found and the monkeys got imprisoned. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So, yeah, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the book, is very different than the movie. And Dan, background to this, has never heard the book at all. So, we're going to rely on him for super exciting first impressions and comparisons.
Maybe you do book reports. I'm not a...
Okay, I'll flip it off.
I'll comment with you. Don't give me the freaking report to do.
Oh, okay, fine. This is why we need to do them sooner, after the actual... Okay, we're going to go around.
Up your car.
Alright.
Just gonna go through the tall grass.
Worst case scenario, if this whole recording stinks, we just won't post it. Alright, so The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I don't know, should we do the first spoiler? So, when we first started listening to the bit with the tornado in it, Dan ended up asking me, okay, she went down in the basement or in the underground part under the house, and then, she falls asleep, right? And I'm like, no, there's no falling asleep. The whole falling asleep frame was an MGM thing. Yeah. Most of you probably already know that the ruby slippers are also an MGM Technicolor thing to make them show up on screen better. They're actually silver. A lot of folks have theorized that the original Wonderful Wizard of Oz was written as some sort of money policy critique, and you're reading a lot of symbolism into that if you're going in that direction. So yeah, it's real, and let's see, what else? We have the Witch of the North in the beginning, not going to the Good Witch. They sort of combine two witches into one witch, just to make it easier. And you don't get the name of the Good Witch of the North either, which is kind of strange. Just I will give you a blessing and kiss you on the forehead and send you off goodbye.
But she was a munchkin, I believe.
The Witch of the North?
Yes, she was in the land of the Munchkins, and she resembled them. And she was a small little old lady. A small little old lady munchkin.
She could have been Munchkin descended.
Maybe descended, I don't know. But the way I heard it described, that she was dressed differently than them, but otherwise appeared to be just a little old lady that happened to have the witching skills.
Okay. Well, Oz, you also discover, is actually divided into like 4 subquadrants, and it kind of sucks that we're doing this as audiobook at night because you don't really get to see the maps, although I can show them the maps and the illustrations, which are well worth it. But yeah, the people in the north are actually the Gillikins, the people in the south are the Quadlings, and the Munchkins are the people she just happens to crash land into in the east. You go into the country of the Wilkies to defeat the Wicked Witch of the West, but that kind of ends up being a really weird side mission. That's why we need to do them closer to what happens.
I forgot that they started and landed in the east.
Yeah, they land in the east. The Witch of the North just like happens to be there. She's just chilling, healing people. I don't know. Maybe it's on the boundary line. So yeah, she kisses Dorothy and is like, take these shoes. Sure. Actually, no. Dorothy takes them because they're cute. And that's kind of an interesting running theme I commented on my Goodreads book review, is that, like, so much happens in the Wizard of Oz books based on really femme interpretations of the world. Because she'll be like, oh, this looks cute. Let me take it with me. And then, like, 3 chapters later, it's like, oh, look, this is a magic object that I happened to pick up because it was cute. And then there's other fun stuff like, don't cry, it'll ruin your dress. Yeah, the next book, it's a little more aggressive, but in this one, there's just a lot of plot-driven stuff that's just very, very femme, which you don't really get from other novels of the time.
Cry 'cause you'll rust.
Tin Man don't cry 'cause you'll rust. Okay, yeah, men don't cry. All right.
She paid special attention to not let him rust during the teary scene.
Right. So, yeah, we meet everybody. Let's see. You have any comments about the meeting of everybody? There's no singing?
Yeah, nobody was off to see the Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, they mostly just refer to the Emerald City the whole time. And I'm probably missing a bunch of stuff. So, Emerald City, spoiler, it's actually a fake, because Oz is a humbug. Which you don't catch on to until after they leave. But I always thought that was probably one of the coolest things. And the illustrations of everybody getting their, like, green spectacles put on their face is nearly priceless. So, that's pretty cool. But yeah, they go in, and Oz does his humbuggery in, like, 4 different forms to everyone. And basically sends them on the same mission. Like, go kill that Wicked Witch over there. And Dorothy's case is like, you killed one before! And I can't kill him. I don't know if that doesn't come out till later, but
That didn't come out till later.
Yeah, so they dispatch them, to go kill her. Jeez, I'm trying to remember because there's like a whole voyage section of trying to get over into that country before the monkeys pick them all up and do whatever. God, see, that's the problem. We gotta do these closer.
The monkeys were cool, which was never really explained in the movie, I don't think, as to why or how they did what they did. They were just the monkeys, and they flew. But they were bound to a curse. They were bound to it by a spell. To the golden crown, and whoever wore that golden crown got to tell them
3 wishes.
3 wishes to do it. Take them wherever they wanted to go.
Actually, I think it was do whatever they said.
Do whatever they said.
You could throw people in a river if you wanted, like...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, they were malicious.
Well, they were mischievous, and then they got bound.
They weren't malicious. They were just mischievous.
Anyway, we're going to pause, and we'll take this back up in a second after we get what we need at the stove. Stove. Okay, there was one thing that I totally forgot about, but popped in my head while I was waiting for Dan to come out with his purchases. And a lot of the things are, like, really cool to visualize from the book, and I'm like, I really wish they would make, like, maybe a mini-series, because they could do a lot of the stuff with CGI now that they couldn't do in the 30s. And one example of that is I always hated the part in the movie where they fall asleep in the poppy field, like everybody that's, alive, and fleshy. And they can't get him out of there, and they basically get this, like, weird Deus Ex Machina from Glinda where she just, like, waves her wand, and there's a bunch of snow, and everybody wakes up, and it's all good. In the book, they actually reconnect with these field mice that they, like, help rescue the queen from. It's a pretty graphic depiction of the Tin Woodman lopping off a cat's head.
That was when they first encountered them.
Yeah, they saved the queen by lopping off this cat's head, and that part's pretty brutal. There's an interesting illustration with, like, a Cheshire cat in there. And so, the queen's like, whenever you need us, you just call and we will scurry and help you. And they actually do help them a couple of times in the book, but the first time they help them is when they need to get out of the poppy field, because they tell the lion basically book it, because, you're going to fall asleep and you're pretty heavy. And then they make, like, the cart, I think, for Dorothy, and they tie each of the little rodents of all the little mices come out and, like, tie their little piece of string to the front of the cart, and then they use it to pull Dorothy and Toto for a while, and then they come up on the lion, because the lion passed out anyway. It was a big poppy field, and then they throw him on the cart and take them out, and then they're all good. So, yeah, that's definitely a part that doesn't get covered at all in the movie. But it's really sweet. I think it should, because it would be a cool scene. And
it was the introduction of the mice, because, they were trying to get away from the big cat, and the Tin Man saw that and lopped off the cat's head. Because the Tin Man has a heart and doesn't want to see anybody being hurt. So the Tin Man does what the Tin Man with the heart would do, and then the gratitude and we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. Anyway, so that happens before we end up getting to the City of Oz. I mentioned the spectacles, and so we're off to, like, the country of the Winkies, and I forget how we get over there, other than, like, the monkeys capturing everybody, and everybody's miserable and in prison and all that. And the water thing is the same, pretty much, it's an accident, essentially. And then Dorothy picks up the monkey cap, because she's like, this looks cute, again, and wanders off, and then they turn out to, like, read the inside of it, where the instructions just magically happen to be, on the inside label. And then they're like, oh yeah, we can use this to, like, fly back to Oz instead of having to go through all this really terrible, undeveloped country.
And the stork saved the Scarecrow, because the Scarecrow was on a pole in the middle of the river and they couldn't get to her.
Oh, I forgot that. See?
And so the stork came along and helped them, and he informed them, it's like, if he's too heavy and I can't carry the weight, I'm just going to drop him, because I can't have both of us going in the water. And they're like, oh, no, he's lightweight. He's just stuffed with straw. You can do it. So he went up and saved the Scarecrow and brought him back in with the rest of the group, and went off about his business, never to be heard from again.
So anyway, they get back to the Emerald City, and they confront Oz, and yeah, they find out he's basically a humbug. Yeah, I think it's the usual Toto pulling down the curtain. Stupid dog. Gotta love that. And his advice, because, like, he can, humbug his way through some of the other stuff, and he does, in such good ways, but we only got so much trip left. And then he, tells Dorothy, like, all right, the best way I can think of to get home is to cross the impassable desert using a balloon. So they end up sewing together a bunch of silk, they line it with glue, they make a balloon, and then Oz ends up accidentally leaving Dorothy behind, because Toto jumps out, of course. And I think that might be in the movie, too, before she does the heel-clicking thing. But that doesn't actually happen in the book for, a long time, because there's this lovely side section that would probably be another half a movie, where they go down to see, Glinda the Good Witch, because they're like, what the hell do we do? Like, everybody else has got their thing, and Dorothy just wants to go home, and nobody else knows what to do. So they're like, let's go down there. She's smart. And apparently a hot redhead, which I had forgotten. So they're like, let's go down to the bottom of the Quadling Country. Okie dokie. And so they set out and have another range of adventures.
Where they use up the last of the monkeys.
Yeah, and you hear the interesting backstory, which is some deep Oz lore I'd forgotten from years ago about the princess and how the monkeys got, like, bound to the cap because she got peeved at him, essentially, for throwing the guy she liked in the river or the lake, something like that. They were just being dicks, basically. And she punished him by, like, binding him to the cap so that they would obey, her boyfriend for 3 wishes, and then it just keeps getting passed down. So anyway, yeah, they use that, and I think the monkeys tell them, like, they can't do the thing, right?
The thing.
The thing. I'm trying to remember, because I remember they call the monkeys at like the end, or like, we can't take you over wherever the heck.
Well, they can't take her back to the real world.
Oh, that's right. Because they're like, we could fly you home. And I'm like, no. That's not how it works. Monkeys be stuck here.
So that wish was lost because it couldn't get used.
That's right. That's how we ended up going to Glinda in the first place. So, okay.
Well, and it was the big heads.
No. That's the hammerheads. That's on the way down.
Was the last time that they used the monkey.
Okay.
It was the last time that they could use the monkey.
Okay. The hammerheads before or after the China Country?
I think it was after.
That's what I thought.
It was the last issue that they had to deal with.
Okay, so my favorite chapter in the whole book, if you want to just read one chapter, is the chapter on the China Country. And again, femme love. You have a porcelain wall that they climb over, and they're basically in this like little mini country within Oz where everybody's made of porcelain, and they're trying not to get broken or fractured because there's like this clown that's been like broken a billion times. Everyone makes fun of him. And, you know, Dorothy falls kind of in love with one, is chasing her around, and she's like freaking out, and she's like, can I take you home with me? And she's like, no, I'll become inanimate, and that would suck. And then I think the tiger ends up knocking over a church or something with his tail.
Yeah, when they were jumping out.
Yeah.
They were leaving, it was the last thing that they passed, and as he was jumping, he knocked over the church. He shattered the church.
So anyway, they get out of the porcelain or the China Country, but it is a really cool chapter if you ever need just one to read. After that's the Quadling Country, which is full of these guys, which again, the book illustrations are so much better than just listening to it, I think, where they just have no arms and they have these like expando necks and these super flat heads, and they like come at you with their heads because they just shoot their heads out at you. Anyway, it's warlike somehow, and that is, again, as Dan mentioned, where the monkeys come back in.
They won't allow anybody to pass over their mountain.
Yeah, that's it. They're just jerks. We don't know why.
So the monkeys carried them over, and the hammerheads couldn't reach them.
And then they end up at Glenda's.
And Glenda agrees to help them with whatever they need in exchange for the cap.
And
the gold cap. She has other plans to use the cat. And the cap and the monkeys.
So
she asked each of the inanimate characters.
Well, one's animate. The lion's animate.
The lion's animate. But she had the three companions where they want to go, and they all want to go to their places that had accepted them as their savior, you know. And the Scarecrow was going to be the king of the Emerald City, and
that's because Oz left him in charge.
Because Oz left him in charge, and the people loved him. And the Tin Man went into the forest because he saved the people.
That's the lion. The lion goes into the forest. The Tin Man goes into the country of the Winkies and becomes the Emperor of the Winkies instead of the Wicked Witch of the West. Because the Winkies love him, remember? And they end up polishing him in the second book. I know, that's a spoiler.
You haven't gotten there yet.
No, we passed it. Okay. Anyway, they polish him super nice at one point when he's talking to the Scarecrow and everybody.
And in order to do all these things, to take them to all these places, she enlisted the monkeys, the flying monkeys, and that used up her 3 wishes. And after the 3 wishes, she gave the cap to the king of the monkeys, and they were free to be monkeys for the rest of their lives, unbetrothed to anybody but themselves.
And then she told Dorothy that, you know, that classic line, although not. Like, you had the power all along. They're in the silver slippers. You just really didn't know, like, what the heck you had, and you just grabbed them because they were cute.
If you would have known what they could have done, you could have gone home right away.
Yeah.
But you didn't, and everybody wouldn't have met her, and they would have all been left in their previous demise. Scarecrows stuck on a pole in the field, the Tin Man rusting away in the forest, and the lion scared of everybody.
So to end, Dorothy uses the shoes, but the shoes fall off over the impassable desert. But she ends up home, which is a good thing. As does Toto, because Toto's in her arms. Anything else you want to add about comparing it to the movie? Because you're fresher.
No, I'm good.
Alright.
I'm good.
My arms are sore. I'm going to put this down.
Okay.
Alright, goodbye. Thank you for listening if you are at all interested in the book reviews.